What's up guys, I'm BTC. The role queue system has been in game for a little while, and I felt it was important to give an honest critique about the good and the bad of the system. By now, I'm sure all of you have tried the new role queue system at least a little bit, and I'm sure you've also seen other people talking about it. Sometimes you'll hear people acting as if it was the best thing that's ever been done, and that it'll completely fix the game, and other people that just don't like it for whatever number of reasons. In this video, I want to give you my take on the situation, and what I see are its strengths and its weaknesses. I think there are some really good things about the new role queue system, but there's also some stuff that Blizzard definitely still needs to work on, and there's also some stuff that will just probably never change because of the nature of the problem and the way the game works. Real fast, before I get into any of that, I do want to say that yes, the Sigma versus everyone video is being made. It's nearly done, it should be out soon. I also have some other hero combo videos that will be coming out as well. I only point this out because a lot of you guys keep asking where those are, and I haven't forgotten, they'll be here soon. So let's get back on track. Prior to the role queue system, and specifically the 222 role lock that we have, there was a serious problem with balancing the heroes in the game. This is because you could have any combination of them. This meant that certain abilities, like area effect healing, were far more powerful than they were intended to be. In fact, area healing is the sole reason why Goat's Comp even existed. Yes, there were other things that helped it, but remember, Goat's Comp wasn't possible and simply didn't exist prior to Brigitte and her area effect healing being added to the game. Yes, Lucio had area effect healing as well, but it wasn't enough. So when you combined all of that, it made Goat's Comp possible. And there were multi-tank comps earlier with Ana, but those weren't nearly as strong. The point is that when you have an open ability to mix and match any and all of the character roles, it made it so that the game was very uneven in its balancing. Now that we have a forced 222 role system, Blizzard theoretically should be able to balance the characters much better than before. They don't have to worry about how is this area effect healing going to impact 3 or 4 tanks when it's only possible to have 2. Same thing goes for other things like damage boosting and barriers and all that sort of stuff. They know what is going to be possible in every single match. While all of that is good for a potential future version of the game, the current hero balancing is still really bad. Some characters are objectively far stronger than others. Some characters are way too powerful in the upper bracket while being garbage in the lower bracket, and on the reverse, there are some characters that are really powerful in the lower bracket and just complete garbage in the upper bracket. Of course, there are some like Bastion, who is still the least picked character in the entire game by a very large amount. And every time I bring that up, I always have people saying that they see Bastion all the time. No, you don't, because the pick rate numbers don't lie. It's most likely because Bastion is so rarely used that when you do see the character, it sticks in your head and your mind kind of tricks yourself into thinking that it happens more often than it's not. But trust me, he's the lowest used character in the game. Then you have other stuff like Reaper and his Shadow Step, which is an ability that is used on average once every 5 minutes by the higher skill players, showing just how bad of an ability it really is. I mean, seriously, they use the ultimate more often than they use Shadow Step. That's just terrible. And of course, you also have characters like Pharah, who just gets absolutely destroyed by the increase in the number of hit scan characters that have been added to the game and just how powerful they've become. But as I've mentioned in previous videos, Blizzard is planning on a second wave of hero balancing that hopefully will resolve some of those issues. I don't think it's going to fix them completely, but it should make the situation better. Something really good about the role queue system is knowing that you're always going to have at least a mostly balanced comp, in theory. But remember, just because you have 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and 2 healers, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to work well together. There could be no synergy among the characters in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's just people playing what they want to play, and it happens to fit into the 2-2-2. Now, it doesn't mean that teammates are also going to switch when they're needed or when they're being countered. So you have the 2-2-2, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be optimal in all situations. And because your role is locked, there are situations where that can be really frustrating. Let me give you an example from one of the games that I had recently, and this is in the upper bracket as well, by the way. The enemy team was running a Pharah, and we had not 1, but two hit scan players on our team, a McCree and a Soldier. The Pharah was only partially being pocketed by a Mercy, half the time she wasn't, so there was really no reason that those two DPS shouldn't have been able to handle it, but for whatever reason, they just couldn't. Not even a single elimination on that Pharah. Not one by those two hit scans. All of the eliminations on the Pharah came from the tanks or from the Zenyatta on our team. Also, it's not like they weren't being supported. They had barriers, they had the Zenyatta for the score, they had Mercy for damage boosting, and they just still could not deal with the Pharah. I wanted so badly to switch from tank into DPS and just play a hit scan myself and deal with it, but I just couldn't. Needless to say, we got completely destroyed by that match, and it was kind of ironic seeing, as I mentioned just a minute ago, how Pharah is so bad because of so many hit scans, but these two particular players just couldn't do anything against it. So those types of situations, it's really frustrating. Like, yes, you can try to switch to a diva, and you can try to do some other things, but, I mean, there's just only so much you can do. If the DPS are failing, and they're just not doing their job, then it's, okay, like, you know, what are you gonna do, right? It's just, like, take the loss and move to the next one, I guess. Another issue is when you're trying to stall on a point and you just want to quickly switch to a Mei to help that, but you can't because you're not in the right role. This isn't a major issue as one of your DPS can switch, but oftentimes I find that they're just stubborn and they won't, and you end up losing because of it, or at least losing that point for that round. We also have to talk about the issue of levers, throwers, and smurfs. For the levers, there certainly has been more recently, but I think this is largely due to problems with the servers. I've seen a lot of disconnects, but then people come back, so clearly they weren't leaving the game on purpose. A good little trick, by the way, that you can use to see when a teammate leaves, to see if it was on purpose or if it was accidental, is when they see the little message that says, so-and-so has left the game, and then it is immediately followed by so-and-so has left voice chat. Well, if you see those two things right next to each other, then it means that the person has deliberately left the game. However, if you see them leave the game, and then it takes about 15 or 20 seconds later before it says that they left the voice chat, that is generally an indicator that it was a disconnect. There's a lot of reasons for that, but there's a good chance that the player will come back. So just keep that in mind. If you see them right next to each other, it was probably on purpose. If you see them spaced out, then it was probably accidental. However, there are certainly going to be people that leave games more often now because playing a role that they don't normally play and they just don't care about it. If they drop 50 SR on their support role when normally they're a tank or a DPS main, then they're just not going to care about losing that SR on the support because, you know, that's not what they normally play. Likewise, a very similar situation for people that are throwing. If it's not a role that they, quote, main, then they're just not going to care, and throwing the match means little to them, so they're going to be more inclined to do it. Sure, you can report them, but it's not like it's going to do a whole lot because that match is already ruined. And unless they do it a lot and a whole bunch of other people report them, then chances are nothing's going to happen to them. This is why the Overwatch agent program that I talked about in a different video is so necessary to the game. Blizzard right now is concentrating on dealing with people who throw a lot of matches. We're talking like dozens and dozens of matches, and the thing is, Blizzard should be treating the person that throws one match the same as someone who throws 100 matches. They're both ruining the game. They both need to be get rid of. So, should treat it the same severity. I'll put a link to that agent video, by the way, on the top of the screen and down in the description so you can go and check it out if you want. The last one, of course, is Smurfs, and this thing kind of goes hand in hand with the thrower problem, where people are just now going to use a single account in order to throw a whole bunch of matches in order for one role to drop down so that they can Smurf and goof off and ruin some matches at a lower rank, but it doesn't matter, again, because their, quote, main role, their whatever, is much higher, and that's what they're actually trying to work on. Now, Blizzard has said that they're trying to actively catch this sort of thing, but, I mean, there's only so much they can do. Again, agent program. So, certainly the role queue system has removed or reduced at least some of the previously existing problems, but it also introduced or worsened other problems. I do think that the good parts and the benefits of the role queue system far outweigh the negatives, and overall it is a very good system despite whatever flaws it might have. And I can tell you from a personal note that I played a lot of competitive. Almost all of the levels that I have on my account are from playing competitive, but in the last several seasons, I just got so sick and tired of dealing with throwers and just terrible 5-man DPS comps and just people not even trying and not caring that I didn't want to play competitive. It just wasn't fun or desirable in any way. However, the new system does make me want to try competitive again, and I gotta be honest, I've actually enjoyed at least more than half of it, right? So I want to point this out there. If you stopped playing Overwatch a while ago for whatever number of reasons, I would suggest trying to play again. For some reason, I know that people watch my videos even though they don't play Overwatch anymore, and if you're one of those people, go and try it again. You might find that you actually like it again. So I think you'll find that it's a better experience before. It's not perfect by any stretch, but it's a lot better than it was. So that's what I think about the new role queue system, but now I want to know what you guys think. So if you've had an opportunity to try it, how do you like it? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.